Here we are, episode 1 of Toogood Talks. This has been a long time in the making, 5 years in my brain, really getting started over the past year. And my first guest is someone that I'm super excited to introduce. I've been watching her on TV over the past month, and I have been on the edge of my seat. I've been inspired, empowered to work harder and be better in my life. And I'd love to introduce Destanee Aiava to the podcast. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I'm excited. I've been fangirling this past, how long? 45 minutes that you're here in the studio. But how are you, more importantly?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just happy to be here on one of your first episodes. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm really grateful and really appreciative for you to say yes and take a chance on Toogood Talks. Let's jump straight in. The past month has been incredible. All of Australia has been watching you. Can you take us to the start of qualifiers and what your mindset was and what it means to be at an Aussie qualifying to get into the Oz Open?
Yeah, so before AO even started, I had to do all my goal setting, and I pretty much just told myself if I'm not happy with my year, then I'm going to stop and I'm going to go to uni and get a degree. And I just so happened to do really well at AO. So yeah, I'm putting my degree off for now. But yeah, I don't know, I really wanted to do well here. I've never qualified for the main draw on my own without a wild card. So yeah, it was a massive goal of mine, to back it up as well since I qualified at US Open. But yeah, I really don't know how to put it into words of what this the last 2 weeks was, but yeah, I was just super grateful to perform how I did and have so much support as well.
On the support, what was it like? We watched you in round 1, like a gutsy win that was, and then into round 2, the crowd was enormous in that game. I was watching from TV. I don't think I could quite get what the atmosphere was like, but even it looked like such a vibe regardless. Talk us through that game, because obviously there was a bit in it from like a support perspective from Australia, and then Danielle had like her moments as well. What was it like to actually be a part of that game, and what kind of pressure did you feel going into it?
Yeah, so when I first walked out, I heard everyone screaming. I've played on that court before, Kia Arena, and it was nothing like how my previous match was. I felt like it was a full stadium just from how loud everyone was. But yeah, during the match, all I heard was everyone's cheers, and I thought she also did have some support as well. But yeah, even when I was playing on court 3 as well, it was electric. My ears were going numb. I felt like I was at a concert. It was just amazing. And yeah, the crowd gave me so much energy. I've played on Rod Laver before, and I feel like it was completely different. It was really intimate, so I think that made it even better. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just felt everyone's support, and I just tried to use it to my advantage. But it was amazing, and I hope to, play in front of that same crowd again next year.
How do you use that crowd? Because like when you've got people yelling, and like it would be hard to think even like you love when people are behind you and supporting, and you get that rush of adrenaline. But like, how do you? Sometimes that can go too far, and like I don't know. Mm-hmm. I know in football, like if I'm going for a kick and then I can feel the energy, and sometimes you spray it out to the right and it misses completely. Like I can't imagine what it's like serving. So how do you use that energy and use that adrenaline in a positive way?
Yeah, I've kind of try to block out the negative, like the hecklers and all that stuff. But I feel like because I've been playing for so long and I've learned to handle a big crowd like that, I feel like whenever I hear, all the positive cheers, and especially if I'm down and out in a match and I am getting pretty down on myself, I've learned to just channel everyone's positivity mm-hmm. and use it for the next point and just keep going again. But yeah, especially playing in Australia in front of your home crowd, I feel like you have so much support. You can hear your name being screamed out. Even when you do hear everyone cheering for your opponent, everyone's backing you still, and I feel like you just need to have that self-belief and trust in yourself and really block out the noise.
I really admire tennis players because it's literally you out there, unless obviously you're playing doubles, which you do. But how do you manage, like, it's just you out there, and as you said, like when you do get a little bit down on yourself, you use the positivity from the crowd. Are there things that you use personally to get you through that negativity? Because I genuinely admire how you go out there and you're going to miss shots, you're going to get shots. Sometimes you can see players and their frustration, and sometimes getting it out is the best for them. What works best for you when you are getting a bit down on yourself?
For me, it's just going back to my routines that I have during all my matches in between points. If it's, going back to my strings or walking back to the back fence and, I don't know, tapping it or something, and then resetting and refocusing for the next point. It's something that we all work on and we have worked on since we were very little. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the main things that does help me. Obviously, we lose every single week if we're not winning the tournament, so I think we're all just used to losing now, which it does suck, but it's what comes with tennis. And it's definitely routines helps a lot. But yeah, just it's a massive mental game as well. So it really doesn't matter how well you can hit the ball, it's all how mentally strong you are.
I feel like that's sport in general, isn't it? Like the more people are opening up about their journeys and their stories in sport, how often it comes out that it's like it's between the ears, and that routines are important, that ability to ground yourself in those moments and being okay with failure, which, like, for me, I'm not a perfectionist, but like I like to get things right most of the time, and obviously you get better at handling those failures and actually not being afraid of losing or calling it a failure, because it's what makes you better in the long run. Before we dive a little bit into like your junior career and how you got into tennis, I do want to touch on your outfits in the Australian Open, because they had a story of their own and a journey of their own. And I want you to talk me through your decision making with it, why those outfits, and how it all came to be, because I loved it.
So a couple months before AO even started, I was just looking on eBay, Depop, Facebook Marketplace, I just had a thought in my head. I was like, I want to find the vintage dresses that all my idols used to wear, because I'm not seeing it worn anymore. So, and because I like to not look the same as everyone else on court, I would obviously not be wearing the same thing if I wore those dresses. So I just went on a hunt online, tried to find all those dresses. I pretty much just like Googled like Maria Sharapova dress, stuff like that. And I found some on eBay. I bought them. They were actually quite expensive,
vintage,
but like worth the purchase. They're dresses I'm going to keep forever and pass down maybe. I actually reached out to a clothing brand and asked if they would want to sponsor me. Got knocked back, which is fine. So I decided to, wear my vintage dresses that I had bought. And the night before I was just trying to find which color, which one I wanted to wear and felt most comfortable in going in for my first round of qualifying. And I settled on the pink Maria Sharapova one. And that's pretty much how it came about. But in no way was it a marketing strategy at all. I'm not a social media guru. So it was just, I was just lucky that people recognized the dresses that I was wearing. And I underestimated how many people actually cared about tennis fashion and those vintage dresses as well. But I was super happy that people recognized it.
Yeah, I think the players you also chose and those vintage dresses, they're iconic players as well. That like, I think from the Oz Open in particular, they've all had such success here. And so I feel like Australians, I know it's an international championship, but Australians really got behind it. I thought that it was great. I know you weren't doing it for a marketing ploy, but wow, you did a good job. And I think you're actually paying homage to like those players as well, which I think is really special. And I think really sings about the person you are and like the authenticity that you're trying to bring to what you're doing, which I've been loving as well. I want to cast back and go a little bit down memory lane.
Yeah.
And whether it was Maria Sharapova, Serena Williams, who were the people, the players that really influenced you into getting into tennis?
Yeah, so it was pretty much Serena Williams. I've loved her since I started playing tennis. She was actually on the TV when I decided I wanted to play. Both my parents were very sporty and involved in all my lessons as well. So yeah, I had to pick a sport, and that was on the TV. Serena was playing in the Australian Open, so I just said, yeah, I'll play that. Yep. And then since then she's been my favorite player since forever. Also, I loved Maria Sharapova and their matches. They were one intense. Of the greatest rivals ever. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely loved both of them. And yeah, seeing Serena on TV, being, black powerful woman that she is, it really inspired me, and I loved seeing someone different on TV as well that's playing tennis, which you didn't really see back then. But yeah, she was definitely my idol in tennis.
So your parents were pretty involved in guiding you through your tennis career and your junior career. You had a pretty successful junior career as well, might I add. I can spit the statistics out. So there was, in 2014, you had a breakout year, actually. If
I
you
didn't
remember.
know that. I know. I don't
well,
remember.
I can tell you all about it, Destanee. An impressive 41-7 record on the ITF junior circuit.
Wow, 41-7. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, there you go. And you represented Australia in the Junior Fed Cup as well. So how were your parents like influences, and how did they help you through that time? It would have been really hard to balance school through that period
so
too.
I just remember waking up so early, maybe like 5 a.m. to get to training in the city at 6 a.m. and then finish that and then jet back home all the way to school, start at 8 a.m. and then after school I would train again. So that was my whole life throughout my younger years and up till end of my teenage years as well. But yeah, my mom played soccer, rugby. She did boxing as well, and she's actually playing footy now.
AFL?
Yeah.
Oh, what a queen.
And my dad, he was a S&C coach, trained boxers, fighters, just did powerlifting, just the whole work. So I grew up around sport, pretty much in a gym. So it's been my whole life. They knew nothing about tennis, but my mum came to every single lesson I had, and she learnt as I did as well. So at one point she was my coach because we couldn't afford to have a coach. It was she helped me so much. She traveled with me most of the time with my little brother as well. She does my S&C now actually. So she's a massive part of my journey.
Wow. That's so cool to have your mum so involved and your dad so involved in what you're doing. Like for me personally, like my mum's a big rock for me. So like to share as much as I can with her, not so much in a strength and conditioning capacity or coach, but just as a person to talk to. That's really cool that your mum's able to ride and your dad is able to ride that journey with you. How much travel did you have to do as a teenager? Like, genuinely, how did you balance getting through school and all of that?
So I did have to move to online school from year 10, I'm pretty sure. I didn't enjoy it. I just loved the social aspect of attending normal school and talking to my friends, and it was kind of like an escape from tennis as well, because tennis has been my whole life. I just loved the break. Had to move to online so I could travel and take my laptop and do all my tests online, even with the time differences as well. I had teachers helping me from TA, so that was if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have finished high school. So, it was really tough. I would recommend, staying in normal school just because it does get really lonely. Tennis is so lonely already, and then moving into online school, it was really tough, but I'm just glad I actually finished school.
We'll take that any day. So then it shows how important your family is in that moment when you're so isolated. I don't think we really understand as viewers watching tennis, or we don't understand what the life is like. I don't think, when we were talking before, you mentioned on tour how isolating it is and how much time you're actually spending on your own. And it seems like you've been doing that for quite a while, particularly throughout your junior career as well. Can we dive into what it's like on tour for you personally, and what do you do to entertain yourself when you are on your own for a fair chunk of the year?
Yeah, for me personally, it's really tough on tour, just because of where my ranking is at the moment. It's not, in the top 100, which is what everyone sees when they're watching the Grand Slams or the big WTA, ATP events. I feel like that's why everyone thinks the life is so glamorous, because they're playing these massive tournaments. But what they forget is there's people below the top 100 who's, grinding on the ITF tour and going week in, week out, losing or not earning as much money as you get in those bigger events. So, yeah, for me, it's just been the last couple of years of grinding on the lower circuit and trying to make do with the little prize money that we get. But they're doing a really good job of upping the prize money and providing hospitality now.
That's good.
This year for higher events, which is really helpful.
That's so helpful.
Because, we have to pay for our own accommodation, flights, bringing anyone that we need over as well, food. Yeah, it's really tough. And if you don't have friends on tour, it is also really lonely. There's, you could be at a tournament with 64 other girls or men, and if you don't know any of them, you're obviously going to go sit in the corner, sit in the bathroom and eat your food. But for me, I feel like I've done a really good job at, trying to connect with other players and find people that are like me as well. And so I do try and find my people when I'm out at tournaments, if I'm alone, if I don't have my partner with me. So it does make life a lot easier on the road. And you'll find people that you can, drive from one country to another. But sometimes you're not so lucky and you'll have to, catch flights by yourself or catch a bus. But life on the tour isn't as glamorous as everyone thinks. But I think, everyone's goal is to live that, glamorous life that everyone does see on the TV.
Yeah, and that's what we see, the top of the iceberg, whereas there's so much more as you get to talking to people, and obviously there's so much more to what we see on TV. And I'd probably underestimate the time away from home as well. We were talking you'll go to Europe soon, and you won't be back probably till the end of the year.
I'll try and come back for maybe 2 weeks at most back home, and then I'll have to go again. It's just Australia is so far from everywhere.
Aren't we? We're so far away.
But for me, it's worth the 24-hour flight just to see my family, my cats, be in my own bed even. It's the sacrifice that us players, mainly Australians, have to make. But we just put up with it, I guess.
Do it for the love of the sport. You mentioned earlier that the start of the year, you're okay, I'm going to give it one more shot and then see what happens, and then potentially go back to uni. After the Australian Open's finished, has it reinvigorated what this next year could look like for you?
Yeah, it has a little bit. I feel a little more financially stable after my Australian Open run, which is really good, because then I can invest in my career and give it a really good shot. But I don't know. You never know what happens. I could, touch wood, get injured, and then I'd have to have a backup plan in place. I really find it important that I do find it important that you need to have other interests outside of your work, just in case anything does happen, or one day you wake up and you don't want to play anymore. So that's what I've been trying to do for the last couple of years, is just put a plan B in place and not attach myself to my results so much, and just really enjoy life.
You hear that so much, don't attach yourself to your results. Is that something that, as you said, you've had to learn over the past couple of years and implement in your life? How have you been doing that? Because we can, sit here and say don't do it, but like how have you actually practically been like, I'm not going to attach myself to these next results?
Yeah, I've just been trying to tell myself after every single loss for the last maybe 2 years that there is more to life than tennis. And I feel like everyone else that's playing a different sport can say the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I deal with a lot of comparison as well, self-inflicted, watching, other girls do better than me. But I've had to really learn that everyone is on their own journey. Yeah. And success isn't linear, that you're always going to lose, especially in tennis.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's it's been a really hard road of trying to learn that winning isn't everything, and if I lose, I'm not a failure, or my self-worth isn't, going to go downhill just because I've lost a tennis match. I mean, but yeah, I've really, after every loss, I just try and, go back to my hotel room and do things that I enjoy, try and switch off, even when I'm at home. Like after all my matches at AO, I was just, trying to text my friends and talk about anything other than tennis because, there's life outside of it. And that's what I try and drill into my head.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I feel like when you're growing up, whether you're on the junior circuit, like growing up and wanting to be a professional athlete, that's your sole purpose, weirdly. Like you're just so focused on it. And then when you achieve it, it's almost you have to learn, yes, how to be a professional athlete, but also then to manage the pressures, the not wanting to lose, all of the things that you mentioned. The comparison one, I think, is huge. I think in society in general, we're always comparing ourselves, probably with social media as well. It's like it's in your face. You're like, oh, why aren't I doing that? All that kind of stuff. But as soon as you start to learn and understand that, like, life is a lot more holistic, there needs to be balance in your life to counteract the intensity in which training is, competition is. It's been a few articles and things have come out, and you're sharing your mental health journey. If you feel comfortable enough, I'd love to give you the opportunity to share it on this platform as well, and what you experienced and what you went through.
Yeah, so growing up, mental health wasn't a thing. I feel like it's kind of common in the Polynesian culture as well, where I don't know if it's our feelings weren't really talked about or acknowledged, which is, I'm not blaming my parents or anything. It's just how I feel like they've grown up, and a lot of other parents as well. Yep. But yeah, I grew up in a domestic violence household, which was really tough on me and my brother, I think. So yeah, I developed borderline personality disorder, and it wasn't until I think a couple years ago, I mean maybe 3 now, I'm not too sure, but I always felt like there was something off, and I felt like my emotions were always heightened, and seeing everyone else deal with different things differently to me, I always was like, why am I so up and down all the time? So yeah, I got to a point where I was having, panic attacks before every match, and then I had to go and get help. And then I saw a psychiatrist, and they diagnosed me, which was really nice because I finally,
so you're not wondering.
I finally understood what was going on for almost my entire life, and it was a massive eye opener, and I feel like it's taught me so much more about myself, and I'm a very self-aware person, I think, almost too aware.
Here, girl. Being far too self-aware, you just, oh gosh, the brain ticks.
So that's been something that I've had to deal with and work around through tennis as well, which is really tough. I mean, losses, dealing with BPD on top of it, it can be really tough. I mean, it's really hard to not attach my self-worth to my tennis. But yeah, it was something that I had to learn, that I am not just a tennis player. I'm so many more things. But yeah, BPD is, it sucks. But I am glad that I got diagnosed and went and got help, and I'm doing so much better now. But yeah, anyone else out there with BPD, I feel for you. It's really tough.
When it comes to mental health, how do we continue to, fight the stigma of it all? And I suppose what we're doing right now is one way of doing it. But what do you think is the most important way of, taking away the stigma with mental health?
I feel like a lot of athletes dealing with these kinds of things, I feel like it would really be really nice for them to, if they can, be more open about it, and share their stories. I think they underestimate how much it really does help other people. I've gotten so many messages from everyone just telling me that me sharing my story has helped them so much, and I feel like from that, it makes me want to, share more and help other people going through similar situations, especially athletes, because it is so lonely. And I'm not sure how it is in team sports, but maybe you guys have your teammates to lean on, but also men and their mental health, I feel like it is getting a little better. Everyone's more supportive and wanting to open up. But yeah, I think that's definitely something that can, help other people, not just athletes, just, sharing their stories and their truth, and not judging anyone for it.
Absolutely. Not judging is the most important, I think, is just being able to share without judgment, I think creates a safer space for people to talk. And I really appreciate you sharing your story on here and with me as well. And I suppose shedding light on different upbringings and how that then influences you as a person. I think sometimes we underestimate like what our upbringing can be, but it doesn't define what it is. It doesn't define what we are going to become as well. And I know when it comes like with panic attacks and anxiety, I've had bouts of it myself, and whether it was from different things from my childhood, there's definitely some similarities that we've had as well. And it's such an interesting, once you start getting into it and pulling it apart and understanding why it's happening, I think it's a really interesting process. And I don't know if it's made me become more self-aware of myself and the feelings that my body is feeling, but it's definitely helped me once I've understood why things potentially could happen and what is happening from a mental side and how that influences what your body is doing and feeling.
Yeah, of course.
If that made any sense. I don't know. I felt like I was just rambling, but like it was how I felt I could articulate it.
Yeah, no, I feel like growing up as a child, you learn so many different habits from your parents that, right or wrong, you grow up and then you're dealing with different situations or in relationships as well, and you see most of the time you're acting exactly like your parents.
What?
And you have to, kind of be aware of it and unlearn all the bad habits that you've learned. And that also is really tough, because I feel like if you're not self-aware enough or wanting to work on yourself, it's something that you can get in such a negative cycle with and just repeat old habits.
Yeah, and just get into that cycle of repeating. Yeah. Exactly right. We'll move on to our last little bit. Talk about what your short-term goals. You said that you're going to Europe soon and getting back on the tour. So what are some short-term goals you have for this year?
So my short-term goals is to pretty much just crack top 100. I'm sitting at around 170 at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but I'll play all the right tournaments that I feel that I can do well in and try and be away for as long as possible. To help me. But yeah, I just really want to get inside top 100 just so I can be able to play main draw Grand Slams. But yeah, that's pretty much the only short-term goal that I have set for myself.
Well, we're all behind you, and so is Australia, I'm sure. How many how many tournaments could that be that you could play this year?
Around 40 and upwards.
That's crazy.
I think I did around that last year. But yeah, I'll take weeks off if needed and train for those weeks, or I don't know, go sightseeing or something and then reset. But yeah, it's basically a tournament each week for maybe 8 weeks straight. It could be.
Wow.
Just depends on how I'm feeling.
Bring on 2025. Let's go do this.
Yeah.
Let's crack it. Let's crack the 100. That's going to be huge. I believe in you wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
And I'm sure, do you feel that you got a little bit more motivation after the Australian Open?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I have more self-belief and more confidence in my ability, knowing that I can, compete with the best in the world. So, I'm just going to try use that experience. And, hopefully I can continue how I'm playing for the rest of the year. Yeah,
cool. Off court, do you have some goals, short or long? I know you are planning a wedding at the moment.
Yes. So we're planning for end of next year, November. Off-court goals, I would like another cat.
How many you've got?
3.
So we want 4?
Yes.
What are their names?
Boo, Cinnamon, and Draco.
Yeah. If you want to lift your iPhone case right now, we can even show them to the peoples. So this one, bottom left, you have it memorized.
This is Cinnamon, and then this is Boo, and then this is Draco.
Okay, so we're a Harry Potter fan as well.
Yes.
What hat assortment do you think you are? What house?
Gryffindor.
Oh, 100. Yeah, you're giving Gryffindor energy. I think I'm also Gryffindor.
Okay.
But I love the name Hufflepuff. But I think I've got Gryffindor traits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gryffindor. Yeah, if it wasn't Gryffindor, I would choose Slytherin.
Okay, yeah, really polar opposites, but love that. Perfect.
It's the BPD.
Oh, that's brilliant. You love reading?
Yes.
I did see on your story you're reading something at the moment.
Yes, I'm reading the Lightlark series at the moment.
But Is that like popping off at the moment, that series?
Yeah, I think it's going to be made into a TV show.
Oh, perfect.
A lot of them are like going to be made into TV shows or movies. So, yeah, I'm a big romantasy book girly.
I love that. I like dabble in a lot of self-help, like motivating books.
Mm-hmm.
But I told myself at the end of last year, I'm like, no, start reading some fiction so you're not like always trying to improve yourself. Like actually just like escape for a second. So
we should probably swap books then.
I can give you whenever you want a book. I can give you some good books. I'm reading it was a TikTok one. It's got a red cover, Thrones, Roses of Thrones.
Oh, A Court of... It's ACOTAR, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I should really get the name of it before I started
A Court
talking.
of Roses and Thorns, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on chapter 7 of that right now. Interesting. Okay. I will power through because everyone's talking about it and I've got a heap of teammates reading it as well.
Yeah, I heard everyone loves that book.
Yeah. Yes, it's a big one at the moment.
There's like 7, isn't there?
Oh, gosh, that's going to take me maybe 5 years. I'm a slow reader.
And they're not small books.
No, they're thick. And small writing. Yeah. I really love books that are thin and big text.
Yeah, and short chapters.
Short chapters. They're long chapters, actually.
Okay,
and
never mind.
I have to reread as well. So I read a page and I'm like, wait,
track.
That was just jumbled in my brain. And one thing I want to finish up on talking about is you are Australian Samoan and Pacifica community is very important to yourself. Can we talk a little bit? I want to talk about how much of a role model you are, not just for women and young women, but Pacifica women. Can you talk to that a little bit and how important that is for you?
It actually only hit me just recently, I think after AO, of how much of an impact I was able to make playing tennis. Obviously the Pacifica community don't have anyone to, look up to in tennis. And I'm just really happy to be a kind of a role model for them. And just to receive messages of, little girls wanting to start their first tennis lesson after my matches was really amazing and so heartwarming. I'm just so thankful that everyone was watching, and even some people who didn't even watch tennis as well before, and they came out to watch my match. It was just amazing, and I'm really happy that those little girls can see someone else that looks like them, something that I never had. It's just amazing, and I hope it can inspire other girls to follow their dreams, and hopefully it's tennis, and hopefully do better than I am one day. It's surreal, honestly. I didn't even think that I would get that much support, but I've just been so grateful for everyone.
What you've been doing has been absolutely inspiring and empowering, and I'm sure a woman in the near future will get to the Australian Grand Slam and be like, Destanee was my idol growing up, and she opened a door to tennis that I never thought was possible. So you should be really proud of your whole career to date. You are a very authentic person, and I really appreciate you being so honest and sharing your story with us today. I really do appreciate that, and to kick off our first episode as well. So thank you very much, Destanee, and good luck. Good luck for this year and moving forward. Maybe we can do like an update in like year's time after the next year's Australian Open.
I'd love to. No, but thank you so much for having me and for asking me to come on. I was looking forward to it, and it was a great time to catch up, and thank you so much.
Can't wait to do it again. And that was episode 1 of Toogood Talks podcast. See you next time.